Okay, welcome back, everyone. Craig Steger here. So, this is the time for the daily live stream I've been doing. I've been having a lot of fun with it recently. Yeah, I'm wearing headphones today. There's a bunch of noise in the in the office next to me, so I'm going to try and block that out. Before I begin, let's do this one. Just want to remind everyone, this is this live stream is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Viewing or participating in this live stream does not create an attorney-client relationship. You should always consult with an attorney about any particular legal question you have, and especially in any jurisdiction you're in, any state that you're in. Be sure to talk to a local attorney about any questions that you have. So, with that in mind, I wanted to talk today a little bit about something I think I covered last week, some auto insurance stuff, but I put out a video just yesterday that kind of blew up a little bit, and I wanted to talk about some of the comments on it. And so I'm going to put that on the screen actually. So if you happen to happen to show up on the live stream either on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment, say hi. If you have a question and or a comment that I think I can answer or respond to, I'll put you up on the screen and respond to it that way. Um, yeah. So anyway, with that in mind, let me talk about some of the comments, some of the, I guess, myths and mistakes that I think a lot of people make when it comes to auto insurance. So this is the video I put out yesterday. And as you can see, I've recorded this in my car. I actually do a lot of recording in my vehicle. And it's a 6-minute video, and I just kind of explain why people have car insurance, why people think they have car insurance, and what the actual purpose of car insurance is. So if you haven't checked out that video, go ahead and do so. And Andy, if you could maybe put a link to that video in the description to this stream when it's done, in case anyone wants to go check that out. But that just came out yesterday. But there was a number of comments on that video that I wanted to talk about today. First of all, I had a very nice comment. I would put it up on screen a little bigger if I could. Thank you for this video. I was not aware of the term underinsured and underinsured insurance. I asked my wife. She responded in a confident manner about uninsured motorist. I kind of tried to explain what you said in your video to her, and she was puzzled, like most people are. Liked and subscribed. I will be watching more of your videos in the time I have to watch YouTube. What a learning experience YouTube is. Thanks again. Well, I'm very, very flattered by that. I'm glad you found that video helpful. And I really, really do enjoy sort of unpacking some of these things that I deal with kind of all the time. But if you're not, if you haven't had to hire an attorney before, you haven't been in a car wreck, you may not even know why you have insurance or what the different things that it does for you. So here's a comment that I wanted to talk about. So the comment says, I'll highlight it here so you can see it a little bit. I don't think anyone who knows what insurance is supposed to do would argue about what it is supposed to do. I'm not sure what they meant by that. What the problem is, though, is that the actual job of insurance companies is to collect their fees from you and to deny claims as efficiently as possible to ensure their maximum income. Doesn't matter whether if auto, home, or medical insurance companies work to decline claims. So right there is the argument to get the absolute minimum of insurance you can. Keep your money for yourself and put some away just in case. I could appreciate those concerns and criticisms, and I share some of them. I'm no fan of insurance companies. I fight insurance companies all the time. I sue insurance companies all the time. And without a doubt, their job is to make money, and the way they make money is to pay out less money than they bring in. It's a pretty simple equation. I will say this. different insurance companies are different, and I would say you sort of get what you pay for. There's lots of different auto insurance companies. There's some that I think are sort of absolute kind of bare bones. They have low premiums, and they have low premiums for a reason because they really do a bad job of paying claims. And I would say tend to have a lot of people, a lot of customers, a lot of clients that are just, maybe just became adults, first vehicle, just want bare minimum insurance, and kind of that's the bulk of their clientele. Whereas there's other insurance companies that are more expensive, but I think tend to deliver more value once you get a little established in life. Maybe you've got a home and a couple of vehicles, and some, maybe you're packaging car insurance and a homeowner's insurance, and maybe you got like a recreational vehicle or a four-wheeler ATV, that kind of stuff. So you kind of get what you pay for. But I want to specifically address this last sentence here, and I'm actually gonna put that up on the I'm gonna actually put it up on the screen here if I can. So the comment says, so right there is the argument to get the absolute minimum of insurance you can, keep your money for yourself, and put some away just in case. That is not very good advice, at least I would say for most people. And the reason is this. You have to understand that insurance does a couple of things. So the reason most of us end up with insurance, quite honestly, is either the state requires us to, and there's some comments talk about that. We're required to get insurance, or we buy a vehicle, there's a loan on it, and the bank wants it insured so that if we get into a wreck, they get their money back, and understandably so. And I would say those are the two most common reasons that people carry insurance, auto insurance. And so most people think of auto insurance as something to get your vehicle repaired if it gets damaged, right? And which is part of it. But that really isn't the main reason you have auto insurance. The main reason you have auto insurance actually is liability coverage. What do I mean by that? What that means is you have insurance for yourself so that as you drive, if you cause a crash and someone else gets hurt and they want to come after you, they want to sue you, they want to garnish your wages, your liability insurance steps in and hires lawyers for you actually to defend you and to pay that whatever damage you caused up to your limits, up to your liability limits. And so it's actually primarily a liability policy. But really, the second reason to have insurance, and this is why it's really, I mean, you can sort of get away with having low liability limits if you're okay with someone taking all your property. If you think you're a really good driver, you're a safe driver, you're not likely to cause a crash, and you want to roll the dice on your ability to be a safe driver, then low limits may not be such an issue for you. If you do cause a crash and it's your fault, then you know your insurance may pay for part of it, and after that, well, maybe you're looking at bankruptcy or something like that. If you don't really care, then by all means have low liability limits. But here's the kicker. The third really main feature and purpose of auto insurance is uninsured and underinsured coverage. And I think in a lot of policies, it's sort of an afterthought, but that's really why you need auto insurance. Let me tell you why. So if you're just driving down the road and you're minding your own business and you are a safe driver, you do all the right stuff, you don't speed, you don't talk on the phone, you don't texting, all that. You're driving down the road and some ding dong comes out, misses a stop sign and pulls in front of you, and you hit him and you T-bone him and you're severely injured. Let's say your kids in the car are injured. Who pays for their injuries? Who pays for their damages? Well, first of all, it's the insurance company for the person that ran into you. Well, that doesn't do you much good if they don't have insurance or they have small limits like this person suggests. That's all the money you're going to get out of them. If they're just a normal person without a lot of assets, you'll get whatever the insurance limits are, and that's it. And then you're out of luck, unless you were smart enough to get underinsured motorist coverage for you and your family, because then that essentially steps in the place of the other driver's liability insurance. It treats your underinsured limits as if it was the other car's insurance. And if they're at fault and they cause injury to you and your family, that's where your underinsured limits come in. And so it's so very, very, very important that you have uninsured and underinsured limits, because that protects you from the other idiot drivers out there. Okay? Your uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage protects you from the other drivers out there who are not as careful as you are, who don't care about other people's safety as much as you are. Maybe they don't even have insurance at all. That's why you have uninsured and underinsured coverage, and you need plenty of it. Let me tell you, as someone that represents injured people all the time, $50,000 doesn't go anywhere. That may not even cover a helicopter ride to the hospital. It probably will cover the ambulance ride and an emergency room visit and maybe some x-rays. Probably isn't going to cover surgery, certainly not for you and your family if you're badly injured. $50,000 doesn't go anywhere anymore. $250,000 doesn't even cover it in a lot of cases. Not just your medical bills, not just the damage to your vehicle, lost earnings, pain and suffering. All that kind of stuff is part of your damages, and that's what your uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage is for. And that's why you need to have it. You're not helping yourself by getting cheap insurance and low limits. You're really, as I indicate in the comment below, I said, this is the equivalent of cutting off your nose to spite your face. This is not helping you and your family. If you're driving down the road, you're doing everything right, and some other bad driver harms you and your family. The last thing you want is to be in that situation and now you don't have enough insurance, because you can't control what other people do. You can't control how careful other people are, but you can control the amount of insurance you have. So it's really, really important to talk to your insurance agent, shop around, make sure you have enough uninsured and underinsured. That's it. That is, and when I shop for insurance, that's the first thing I price out. Now, something to keep in mind on a more practical level. In some states, you can actually waive uninsured and underinsured coverage. I'm not sure which states. Some states you can. You can't do it in Wisconsin. I'm not sure. You probably can in Iowa, but you'd want to talk to an insurance agent about that. The most horrible thing you could do for your family is to waive uninsured and underinsured coverage. And here's why. The bulk of your premium is probably going to be for the cost of that liability insurance policy. Okay. It doesn't cost much more to add on uninsured and underinsured limits of the same amount. Like, it's not double. It's a fraction of what you pay for the initial premium. But that is really, in my opinion, more important than liability coverage, because liability coverage protects your personal assets. Uninsured and underinsured coverage protects you and your family. That's what it's there for. And so it's really important to make sure you get those limits. And you'll probably find that in most instances, you cannot get more uninsured and underinsured coverage than you have liability limits. So if it were me, I would buy, let's say you bought $100,000 in liability limits. If you could get $1 million in uninsured and underinsured, I would much rather have much more uninsured and underinsured coverage than liability limits, because that's how important it is. But under most insurance companies and most policies, they probably won't let you do that. They'll make you, if you want $1 million in and UIM coverage, you're going to need $1 million of liability. That's why you could oftentimes get sort of an auto policy of lesser limits, and then you can get an umbrella policy, which kind of provides an extra layer of protection for you for, let's say, your auto, maybe your homeowners or renters policies. These are the conversations you really, really want to need to have with your insurance agent, because you might be surprised at how um, unaware insurance agents can be about the inner workings of this stuff. So, anyway, I get a little passionate about that, but because the reason I do is because I've had clients myself who have been in that unfortunate situation where they did nothing wrong and they got seriously injured in a crash by someone else's fault, who didn't have enough insurance, and they were out of luck because they themselves, my clients, just didn't pay for enough insurance. I know insurance is expensive, and I know it seems like it can be a waste of money, but it only takes one accident, one crash to make up for all the premiums you would have paid, especially if you have, children, spouses in the car with you. You want to make sure that they're protected, and and UIM coverage, so that stands for uninsured motorist, UIM stands for underinsured motorist. It's just that important. Um, Here's a myth. I want to someone. I'll put this back up on the screen here. Someone said, here, let me grab this. There's something I'll have Andy do for me maybe in the future. Someone says, because the insurance companies lobbied Congress to make it mandatory, otherwise you wouldn't. I assume they're saying you wouldn't get insurance or wouldn't have to have insurance. That's actually not correct. To my knowledge, Congress has not mandated auto insurance. I'm not even sure they could. I mean, they might if they might try it if they could. But maybe this person is confusing that with like health insurance, like the Obamacare stuff. But I don't think there's a mandatory requirement by Congress of auto insurance. And in fact, there can't be, because I know there's states where auto insurance isn't required at all. So I don't think this is actually true. But if someone can show me I'm wrong, I'll acknowledge it in the future video. Let's see. So here's someone put up on the board here. So what do they say? Nice use of Florida. So this person said, in Florida, liability insurance is not required, which is interesting. But property is. I believe in liability insurance for you, but not property damage insurance to pay for some jerk's BMW that runs into me. 20% of Florida drivers got cut off are uninsured. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about Florida. in at least in Wisconsin, auto liability insurance is required. I'm not sure the last limits. I think there may be $25,000 minimum limits here in Wisconsin. Um, is property insurance actually required in Florida? I mean, it may be as a practical matter. It probably. My suspicion is that property insurance isn't mandated because of Florida state law, but because most people have mortgages, and a bank is not going to loan you money to buy a house unless you keep it insured. I would say, especially in Florida, where you have hurricanes and all other kinds of fun natural disasters down there. Your bank is going to require property insurance, and maybe he's talking about property insurance for vehicles. Again, I would be surprised. I would be surprised. I don't know this for sure. I would be surprised if Florida requires property insurance on your car, but not liability. But again, similar to the homeowner situation, if you have a car, you have a loan on it, the bank is going to require you to keep that insured. That's not necessarily a state rule, that's the bank. If you pay cash for your vehicle and you want to drive around without coverage on it, I would be surprised if Florida or any state actually requires you to insure that. But so this person says, I believe in liability insurance for you, but not property damage insurance to pay for some jerk's BMW that runs into me. I don't know what they mean by that. I mean, if you cause a crash, if you damage some jerk's BMW, but the crash is their fault, your insurance isn't going to pay for that. Your insurance is going to pay for their property damage if you were at fault, if you caused the crash. And so I don't know why it would be unfair to pay for the property damage you cause, even if they drive nice vehicles. I mean, yeah, but again, that's why you need to make sure you have adequate limits. I remember a few years back, I had a client who was driving a very nice. What kind of vehicle it was? It was a luxury SUV, and believe I believe they had $50,000 in property insurance on it, and it was not enough to cover the vehicle. Um, which now that was a long time ago. Now it's hard to buy a vehicle under $50,000, um, but your property damage typically. Uh, there's two types of property damage. So number one, if you have a vehicle and you want to make sure you have coverage for it, or your bank wants to make sure you're covered, they will require you to carry property coverage. That's collision, I think, is what it's typically called in most states. That pays to get your vehicle fixed, or if the vehicle's totaled, it pays out the fair market value of that, oftentimes to your bank, whatever the case may be. But that's insurance that you have on your car, insuring your vehicle, and that insurance is going to cover it regardless of the cause of the crash. Even if you fall asleep at the wheel or a deer comes out, that's what we deal with up here in Wisconsin. We deal with deers running out and damaging our cars. So you have your property insurance on your vehicle to pay for those repairs or total out the vehicle if that's what happens. But you also do have liability property damage. So let's just say you're driving down the road and you get distracted. Someone calls you on your phone, you miss a stop sign, and you pull out an intersection and you cause a crash. Your liability insurance is going to be there to defend you, or should be. They will hire lawyers to defend you. They'll appoint an adjuster to try and resolve the claim, and they'll pay both personal injury damages, medical expenses, lost earnings, things like that. That the occupants of the other vehicles incurred, as well as a separate, typically it's a separate line of coverage for property damage for another vehicle. But again, that only really comes into play if you are the one that caused the crash. So if you caused the crash because you weren't being careful, I'm not sure there's just much room to complain if your insurance pays for it. I mean, that's why you have insurance. That's why you should have insurance. Otherwise, they're going to come after you personally for that. I would think you would rather have an insurance company pay for someone's expensive BMW than you writing it out of your own checkbook. So let's see. I think that's all the comments on there. I wanted to, let's do one more comment and then we'll wrap it up here. So this comment says, I always get a kick out of these comments. So this person says, because insurance is mandatory, what a racket. We live in a Ponzi scheme. I mean, some states auto insurance is mandatory. Some states it's not. And in those states where insurance is mandatory, it's usually what I would say fairly minimal limits. Like in Wisconsin, what are the limits in Wisconsin? I think it's, what is it? I should know this. I spell it right. Where's the AI? Yeah. So it's, I mean, again, I think this is right. So the minimum insurance is 25,000 liability, 25,000 per person, 50,000 per occurrence, which means let's say you cause a crash and multiple people are injured. 50,000 would be the minimum required to cover all injured people. And 10,000 is, not sure what the 10,000 is. If that is I don't think it's med pay. I'm not sure what the 10 is actually. If that's right. I mean, this is AI, so maybe it's not, but the 25 and 50 I think are correct. So, you want to have more than you want to have more than $25,000 in liability insurance, and you sure the heck want to have more than 25,000 in uninsured and underinsured coverage if you can. Because like I said, $25,000, if that's let's say you get in an accident and someone else causes it and they have no insurance. And let's say you have $25,000 in uninsured coverage. That doesn't get you very far. Like I said, it may cover the ambulance, maybe cover an ER visit and some checkups, but it's probably not going to cover surgery. It's not going to cover a hospital stay for an extended period of time. And so don't take the state's minimum insurance limits as your cue for how much insurance you should get. Talk to your agent. Think about it in real terms. Think about, if you were involved in a crash and you were badly hurt, let's say you couldn't work for 6 months. Maybe you can't work for a year. Maybe you never work again. How far do you think 25,000 or 50,000 or even 100,000 is going to go? Not very far, and that's why this insurance is so important. So, but I appreciate everyone who left those comments. It's fun to get people's questions and reactions to my videos, and I really enjoy putting out the videos. Let's see, anything else? I think that's all the I think that's all the comments that I wanted to throw out there. So I will be doing these live streams most days of the week, typically Monday through Friday, from about 4:30 to 5:00 p.m. If people are on and chatting and have more questions, I'll stay longer if I can. But usually I'm here for 30 minutes. You can ask me anything, whether it's related to the topic at hand or not. But ideally, if it's a question related to the topic, feel free to chime in. If you want to get a hold of me, my information is in the description. You can call or text that number if you'd like, or you can go to CraigSteger.com, and that's my link tree if you want to try and connect with me that way. So otherwise, I think that's all I have. So yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned till next time. If you get this and you watch the replay and you have questions, just leave a comment and I'll be happy to cover them the next time on the next video if I can. So appreciate everyone for watching, and until next time, everyone, have a good one.